Good morning, my fellow scientists. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017. Let's talk about flow batteries. Flow batteries are a little weird compared to the typical dry cell you're going to put in your flashlight. More complicated, but they have some advantages. They decouple the energy storage capacity from the power generation capacity. That may sound a little bit contradictory, but let me explain. Vanadium is a nice material to work with because it has a whole bunch of available redox states. So you can have vanadium 5, vanadium 4, vanadium 3, and vanadium 2. Now if you take vanadium 5 and you put it in a tank, and you take vanadium 2 and you put it in a second tank, those would love to react. So if you put them in a cell, have some electrode, a voltmeter, and another electrode here, and you pipe this guy down, of course, then you have to have a waste, then you can perform two reactions. In one of these you have vanadium 5 goes to vanadium 4. Of course, that requires an electron, but you can get an electron from this side of the battery, where you have vanadium 2 goes to vanadium 3. Now, all this can only work if you have soluble, stable vanadium redox states. But if you have those, and vanadium works, then you can liberate an electron on one side and donate it on the other and get a nice voltage and current out. What that means is that the size of the cell down here gives you power, and the size of your tanks up here gives you energy. So you can decouple your power and your energy capacity. If you need to add more storage capacity, well, you just add a second tank back here. And if you need to add additional power capacity, you add a second flow cell. This setup is actually somewhat expensive, so you're better off using something that stores a lot of energy in this sort of system like vanadium than something that stores less energy but is cheaper like iron, because you're already invested a lot in the capital equipment, the pumps, the tanks, the cell. All this is expensive, so buy a material that is going to store as much energy as possible in that system. Since you've already spent the money, the material just isn't that big a component. If you're going to go cheap, I suggest you want to go with a cheap cell to go with your cheap material. If you're going to go high capacity, well, then a redox flow battery makes sense. The other advantage to using an all vanadium system is that if your separator membrane here is not perfect and some of your vanadium crosses over, that doesn't contaminate your system. You just have discharged a bit. So a little bit of vanadium 4, say, getting onto this side, or a little bit of vanadium 2 getting onto the other side, discharges the battery, but it doesn't contaminate the battery. Now, if you put different things in these two cells, your anode and your cathode material are different chemistry, like an iron zinc cell, then your separator performance has to be a lot better, because iron on one side doesn't just discharge your cell, it makes it less chargeable. So yeah, that all one chemistry in a flow cell like this actually really helps make it more stable. Hope you like that kind of thing. Tune in tomorrow. We talk more about chemistry, batteries, do-it-yourself battery and energy storage systems here in the Allen Lab.